Welcome to Energising Life with AKR Fitness. I'm your host Lindsay, and joining me today we have Mike.
Hello.
And Coach Matt.
Bonjour.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you for joining me, Matt.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited being in hot seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's a hot seat?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm okay just now.
It's going to get hot.
It is going to get hot, and we'll get there in a moment. So, episode 34. In this episode, we are going to get deep, talk a little bit about reflections of 2021, look forward into 2022, and discuss what's next for AKR. It's all exciting stuff. Not one to reflect, so this has been quite challenging for me, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think, hey, listen, this time of year, turn of the year, especially that no man's land between Christmas and New Year, I'm big on it, reflecting how the year's gone and getting the mind right, looking ahead to the next year. I'm always very excited at this, you know, the prospect of a
Fired
new year.
up,
Yeah.
Mike, fired up. So, Matt, clearly with that introduction, bonjour. Did you swim here, or what brought you to Aberdeen?
So
What's your story?
I'll try to keep this as short as possible. For the listeners out there, I've got
And
a
us.
tendency to ramble on.
No.
So I came up to Aberdeen following my graduation. I moved to Scotland when I was 20 for uni. I spent 4 years at Stirling Uni, and then I went home for a bit. Had to sort some stuff out. Tried to get a job at home, but it didn't work out that way.
Should we say where home is, just for the listener?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm born in France.
There we go. Hence the bonjour.
And the swimming.
Yeah. I'm born in France, born and raised in the south of France. Lived there all my life until about 20 years old. And like I said, moved up to uni.
What brought you to Scotland?
Well, I always said I wanted to study abroad, I suppose. And well, for some people, abroad's like America and far. But for me, it was like I'd like to go UK, just because well, obviously being fluent, I wanted to perfect my English. And then when I first moved up to Scotland, I realised oh God, this is something else.
What, the lingo?
Yeah, just the whole culture. I was like, oh, culture.
And that was Stirling.
Yeah, that was in Stirling.
So
yeah.
not even up here yet.
No, not that. No, well, yeah, we'll get to that. So Stirling, fine, and then I went home. Like I said, I went home for a few months, and then the opportunity came for a job up here, and it was actually my flatmate who I lived with for 4 years during uni that moved up here, and I didn't have anything at the time, so I was like, right, sod it, I'll just move.
What did you study at uni?
I studied marketing and sports studies.
Okay.
And
How did that feel, that I'll just move, you know, I know you've lived here for, I guess, 3-4 years during uni?
yeah, 4 years over uni.
4 years.
And then, yeah, it's been five.
And then did
years.
it, I guess, having studied in Stirling, did it feel like a big jump, but you go home for 3-4 months? Like, I'm just trying to get a sense of how did that feel to be like, okay, to hell with it, I'll move to Aberdeen. And
Yeah, well, for me, originally when I moved home, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to move back to Scotland. I don't know if I'll be in the UK again, because my mindset was fixed, like, right, I'm going to try and get a job, because being away from family and friends for so many years, I'm like, I've kind of missed things. So I just was in a kind of like, I don't know, I'll see how I get on. If I can get a job, then fine. If I don't, then, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I spend like months just applying for jobs and
In Nice.
in the area in the south of France, and then even looked at stuff in Paris and stuff like that. So I was kind of willing to like move about. But yeah, and obviously I couldn't get anything. So like I said, the opportunity came up. My mate texted me and he was like, "Oh well, I've got a new job, so my job will be advertised. You should apply for it."
In Aberdeen.
In Aberdeen, I was like,
had you been here before?
No.
Yes,
no.
Matt.
How
So I
many
was
people
kinda
listening
like-
are going, Nice, south of France, or Paris, or, you know?
I know. But like, still to this day, I'm still like figuring out. Like people still ask me, like what made, like what
How
are
did
you
this
here?
happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just said, like, as I was used to like being away from home for 4 years, so I just decided, like, right, well, I've got nothing. in the south of France. Okay, I've got friends and family, but like for me, I've got nothing. So I was like, right, well, at least I know someone in Aberdeen. And I just took the leap of faith, and then here I am.
What year was that?
That was 2015. So a few months after graduation, I was back up in Scotland, November. And yeah,
you arrived in Aberdeen Airport in November.
Yeah, it wasn't even the no. So my mate's parents, who I'm like quite close, so his parents like put me up for a week, and I had so many things to sort out, like bank, all that kind of stuff. So it was just like constant. And when I eventually moved up to Aberdeen, I still had like, I thought it was like, oh fine, but then just figured out like I had no job still.
So he lied to you, your friend lied to you?
No, it's like, oh, so I was waiting, I was in the process of being interviewed, but in the meantime I was like, well, if this doesn't work out, what have I got? So I still needed to have a look at what was out there, and I was literally just looking at anything.
You didn't care, you just wanted a job?
Yeah, I just wanted a job, I just wanted to get started. And so luckily I got the interview, got the job, and then that was me. So I went home for Christmas, and then at the start of January, that was me. So yeah, it was those. I remember the feeling I had those first few weeks when I moved up, and I was like so stressed. I was like, I went into a job centre and everything because I needed to get set up for like my national insurance number and all. I didn't even know how to do that because in France I already had all that sorted, so it was fine. And then when I moved up, as I realised like, oh, actually. It's easier said, like I want to work in the UK, but then you've got so many things to do to be able to earn money in it, and you know, so I was like, I was in bits. I was so nervous.
That was the end of 2015, and then you came back January 2016. Yeah. Got stuck in, got everything sort of organised, and what's been the journey since then until this moment?
So I started
in 5 minutes.
Thanks for the reminder. So I started working at the ice rink in Aberdeen, and quickly realised that progression-wise I wouldn't be going too far. And it was at the end of in the last year of my university, I kind of realised like I really wanted to get into fitness. And whilst I was working at the ice rink, I kind of like, well, I've got a bit of time, so I'm gonna go through my levels. And did level 2, then did level 3. And then eventually started to get experience, like working gyms around the city, and then I saw. Funnily enough, I was on holiday in France when I saw the advertisement for AKR, and I was like, "Thank God, I've got my laptop with me." And,
had you been following AKR before that?
So we lived, me and Joe, my partner, we lived at Headland Court.
Partner.
Fiance. We'll get into that a bit later. We lived at Headland Court, so not too far from here in Garthie, and I always, when I worked, obviously, I always, sometimes I'd drive past AKR, and I was like, oh, I wonder what goes in there. You know, the neon lights and stuff's eye-catching. And but at the time, I think, I always asked myself, like, why did they not come in? And then at the time, I wasn't ready, you know. So the timing was right. I believe in fate a bit. So I think the timing was right. And then when I applied for the job, I remember having a conversation with you, Mike, and it was in the streets of Rennes. And then I phoned you when I was in the airport in Nice going to Rennes. I phoned and then no answer. I was like, okay, I'll leave it. And then you phoned me like an hour or 2 hours after when I just like. Was
it the Women's World Cup?
Yeah. And I was in the streets of Rennes. I was like, oh God, no, I need to take this. And it was like the conversation was really, really brief. I probably wasn't the best, but I was like, oh God, okay, I hope I'm making like a decent impression over the phone. So that night I was like, right, I need to, sat down, wrote, applied, and then a few weeks later I got an email from Mike saying, let's have a chat. And that was the journey, that was the start.
How did you feel when you got that message, like, let's have a chat?
I was like, oh God, like this is it, don't mess up now. So no, it was good, but I was quite like, how do I dress? What do I wear? And all that kind of stuff. And it was just I thought it was going to be a proper interview, and it was just more like a informal chat, quite relaxed, cup of tea. So I was like, oh, that's fine. I can be a bit more myself rather than like kind of rigid, like nervous. And then and the rest is history, as we say. Here I am.
Here you are. So over the last 2 years, say, at AKR, have you felt like with the ice rink you weren't seeing progression? Do you feel like you've had a lot of that here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the person I was when I first started, like doing the trial, being in, getting to know people, and even just like my first official day, I was like completely different. Like I'm more myself, and I expected it to be that way. Like it always takes a bit of time to find your feet, settle in. But yeah, this place has helped me to be the person I am. So yeah, it's been good, really good.
Anything to add to that, Mike?
No,
all good. Nice story.
It's been good. Fabi was on the last one, shared a little bit, and I do remember the period because we were getting a lot of work done here in the facility, and I think you were maybe the last person that I actually interviewed but met for that sort of informal chat. I remember the first 2 guys were like, "Oh, these guys seem pretty good," and I was like, "Actually, I really like this guy as well." So it was interesting. But it was good.
Good.
Fun times.
Still is.
Yeah.
I think that probably takes us nicely into reflecting into the last year. Definitely.
Yeah. You want to go first?
As I said at the beginning, though, like I've never really wanted to reflect on what has been and what is going to be. As we've discussed in previous podcasts, I'm very much living the moment with a little bit of an eye on the future. So I knew this was coming up, so I took a little bit of time, and it was actually fun. I enjoyed doing it because when you sit down and reflect on things that have happened in the path of the last year, it was like, oh, okay. And one thing that really, shook me a little bit was like, how were we in lockdown from January to April? I was like, it doesn't even feel like the same year to me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think then I delved into that lockdown and how it was different to the previous one where we were all up in the air and it was manic. But I think this lockdown, I actually really enjoyed it. I think because I knew it was coming, I was prepared for it. And I was in my own house, which was amazing. So I was able to do all the lives, and I was obviously a bit more confident with being on Zoom and things like that. And it just felt good. I was probably the fittest I think I've ever been during that lockdown in that house. And I think that sort of first month, just spending quality time with Mila, with my partner Chelsea, it just felt really good. And what I really enjoyed about that time as well is that myself, Mike and Jace, we were able to like step back a little bit and let you guys take the Zooms and give us a little bit more headspace to work behind the scenes on the business, so that when we came back into the facility, when did we come back in? Was it
26th of April?
26th of April.
I know all the dates.
So when we were coming back in, not as survived COVID, but actually got stronger from it. Working on things like the customer journey, through pretty much coming through the door right through to 100 days, and that's been an amazing change, I think, of what we've done. The podcast, marketing, using social media better. I just feel like if we hadn't had that lockdown time, that would have taken a lot longer. So for me, I think I felt that I'd leveled up a lot professionally and personally in that first 4 months, I would say.
Not letting you away with that. Personally, how?
Probably maturing and with moving into having a mortgage, being out the road a little bit, not thinking that I need to be 100 miles an hour all the time, taking time just to chill. And I think a good thing that worked for me over that time was, we've talked about it previously, time management, using a calendar and being purposeful with my time rather than just letting it go. Like the first lockdown was kind of a little bit like that. So yeah, personally, leveling up and maturing, I'd say. Yeah. Will I keep going through my year, or do you want to first?
Yeah, if you got more, yeah.
Yeah, I think one major change around June, July, that summer, we started introducing Instagram stories. And again, you'll all remember me saying I've never really felt comfortable when we had to go on Zoom and do all that. And see, the night before my first Instagram story, I think I slept 2 hours. The thought of it was just, I'm not really one for broadcasting myself on social media, so that was a huge step for me. But again, like everything else, you level up, it gets easier, and you actually start to enjoy it, like the podcast.
So I'm going to jump in this time, because that is a great share. Because how many people listening who know you and have seen you would just assume that you feel at home and confident, and it just shows like behind the scenes, everybody has struggles. And then the other thing to reinforce is this is why I think reflecting is so important. Like, this is your life, and by reflecting, you can learn from previous, you can check in, you can say, am I living the life I want to live? Is it going the direction I want to live? But you can also learn things like was what I put myself through that night before the thing, like, did I need to put myself through it? Like, maybe you did, but maybe you can tell us it otherwise.
No, I probably did. Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Or at least you can learn from the experience when you say, look, I might have a night where I'm really stressed out, but guess what? I'm going to get up and I'm going to get on with things anyway. Yeah.
I think through the whole pandemic, it took me to another level with having the confidence in front of camera, even so much so with the social media posts, like the coaching videos with Adam, all that sort. I would have never ever have done that maybe I would have, but I wouldn't have been forced into it. I would have probably put my foot on the brake and be like, no, I'm not doing it, which I struggle with because I think of myself as a growth mindset, but sometimes I just let my feelings take over, and I'm super glad about that. So yeah, coming into sort of the end of summer, went to IFBA leadership for myself, which was like, would I have ever done that before? Probably not, but I felt like I'd build the confidence through the year.
Bit of context to the listener. A gym owner mentorship group where there's other gym owners from around the UK. I was unable to attend. We were both going to go, right?
Yeah, we were both.
I was unable to attend. You went on your own for the first time. So yeah, another step out the comfort zone.
Very much so. Nerves were settled quite quickly when I got there. I sat down with the main man JC in the first night, and we had tea together, and it was just the two of us, and then another leader came in. So I think that just really settled my nerves. So I felt good about it. Again, I was like, I can do this. This is okay. I can hold my own, which I can do normally. But when it comes to professionalism and that inside little voice saying, can you do this? Are you good enough? Do you know what you're talking about? Imposter syndrome kicks in sometimes.
Yeah.
And around about that time, just another personal reflection, I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to this Clash of the Clans, all out CrossFit Highland Game Madness competition and be part of a team with my friend Holly. And I didn't really prepare for it. Rookie. Absolute rookie.
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before, I'm like, what am I doing? Anyway, this Clash of the Clans is 2 days, 8 hours every day. You do 3 events, and you don't know what you're going into. I was throwing barrels, holding big worms above my head, deadlifted 110 kilos 30 times.
Not actual worms, right?
No.
Piece of equipment.
Big worm.
Just to clarify.
And what got me through it was sheer determination, and I like being a part of a team, and I hate letting the team down. So I got through it, but very much the reflection on that was, you're not as strong as you think you are, and be prepared next time, because that absolutely kicked my ass for the next 6 weeks. Yeah. 6 weeks. I hated training. I did not want to be in the gym. I wasn't training, and it threw me completely off, and I hated every second of it. But I loved being in the moment. But in reflection, a bit more prepared next time. Yeah. But that then takes me into the last couple of months, last few weeks, maybe month. Where are we? December?
Well, in real life, on the day of recording, this is Saturday, 20th of November.
Anyway, it feels like life's getting back to normal now. I attended my first festival after it, weddings, celebrations, IFB live with the team, which was amazing to have everybody there. And my training's back on point, and I really love this time of year, because I feel like I put my foot down and go for it, because I want to feel ready to take on the next year. So yeah, I'd say overall it's been I think, a successful year, both personally and professionally.
And can you see, this is the thing I want to get across, because I think there's so much value in doing this, but very few people will take the time. And already there's things you can learn that you can use in the future, but there's also things you can say, well, do you know what, I grew there. There's things you can appreciate. There's so much value in the exercise, and people typically, if you're listening on the week of the release of this podcast, you might have time, you might have a couple of days.
Yeah.
Go back and revisit your year. What were the highs? What were the lows? What were the lessons, the takeaways? What did you like? What didn't you like? And then make a plan for the next year.
Yeah, I think going forward, I'll definitely be carving out time in that period between Christmas and New Year to reflect. Maybe not look forward, but reflect.
I start looking forward at about November 1st.
October.
All right.
Matt, what about yourself?
2021, what a year. Like, ups and downs, as everyone's gone through. I think the way I entered because 2021 arrived and we were in lockdown straight away, so I think that to cope with it, I think I should kind of look back at what I did in 2020, so the lockdown previous year, and I kind of like tried to do what I did well in that 2020 lockdown, and then I tried to say right, well, you've done this already, so I think my mind went automatically back to my habits in the previous one. Similar to you, Linz, I think I enjoyed it just because I had more time to develop, personally, professionally, physically, not as much. Obviously, with the training at home is a bit different, but I think it just allowed me even more time to work on a few things, do some courses, and also, like you mentioned yourself, with the fact that the team was involved in taking Zoom sessions, I think allowed you guys to work on the business behind the scenes, but allowing us to still be in contact with our members. And I think that was probably a massive thing, because I remember in the lockdown over summer the previous year, I remember that first interaction when I saw people again, when we were allowed to train outdoors again. I was like, oh, I'm excited because I've not seen you in ages, but at the same time I'm like,
what am I doing?
Yeah, so it's like, it was good to, although it was on Zoom, although it was online, although it's not the same as being face to face and in the gym, it was still a good chance to keep the coaching habit going. And I think that was a massive difference for me when we opened again in end of April compared to when we reopened in September. In September it took me a bit more time to readjust, whereas when we opened in April, I think we were all just buzzing again and went straight into it, and it felt like we'd never left really. So that's from my lens. What else? There's been so many things honestly since then. It's been a bit of a blur. I was actually thinking, when did we open? Was it April? Was it June, July? Whenever it was. It feels so much longer than the 4 or 5 months we were in. There's so much has happened, and but in terms of what I did over lockdown, again, I kind of knuckled down on doing some courses with the IFBA. So I did the foundations in coaching practice, which was good. It kind of that was the course that I kind of, although I knew, I learned and grew over my first 6 months at AKR, but doing that course kind of brought me back to when I was going through my level 3, so all the technical stuff, anatomy and knowing all that kind of thing. I was like, oh God, do I actually know what I'm doing? Do I know my job? But it was good to go through that again, kind of it brings you back down to earth, right, start from the bottom again, work yourself back up. And I think that was a perfect time. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I did this in the last few months of lockdown, so that I think by the time we went back into the gym, I was done the course, so I was straight back into it. It's probably why I felt a lot more comfortable straight away than those a few weeks or whatever. So
you had the course as well as all those coaching hours coming back in.
Yeah.
Which you didn't have the previous one.
So you
felt comfortable and ready to go.
Yeah. I also get a bit of FOMO, so I was in 2020, I was I want to do that. I want to be.
Yeah, that must have been hard.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. But to be fair, even still, I know we're talking about 2021, but even still then, I was still right, well, don't have anything else to do. So I may as well do some lift the bar stuff and just crack on with the courses and catch up on everything I should have done. So like you said, I think if I hadn't had that time, I wouldn't have been able to do everything I've done so far. So having that free time allowed me to catch up on the level you guys are at, and I'm still a bit behind, but get there.
So from that, coming back into the gym, that's April, May, June. Am I right in saying that you've maybe picked up a different role at AKR?
Yeah. I did have that in my head, don't worry. I did have it. So yeah, over the course of the first 6 months of the year, I dabbled into a bit of programming, a bit more programming. I remember when the first program I ever did for AKR was a Zoom program, which is not as easy because it's minimal kit. People don't have not everyone's got barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, whatever. So it was like thinking outside the box, like, right, how can I still make people enjoy their training and all that kind of stuff. So I remember being in bits the whole week. Like the whole week, I did not sleep. Like I did not probably get 3 hours of proper sleep on average per night. One, because I was nervous. Two, because I didn't want to let the team down, but also I didn't want to let the members down, because I was like, right, well, it's still lockdown. If this doesn't work, then I don't want people to not train because of this training program. So yeah, the pressure was high. I don't know if it was I've never actually asked Mike or Jace, but I always wanted, I think I might ask, but I don't know if it was part of the whole strategy thing, right, put him under pressure.
Everything's a test.
And let's get him, he's got 3 days.
See how he reacts.
And then even on the last day of the week, I'd done everything, right? And then we were on, I remember we had our team meeting on Zoom, and Jace had texted me before, and I was like, right, we need to get this and that, we're going to present to Mike. So I was getting all nervous, sweating. I was like, all right, this is it. And then the meeting goes on, and I was I was ready, I had all my papers out, and then nothing. I was like,
it's not that important.
So I didn't want to say anything in case I had to do it. So I was just right, I'll just let this roll on there.
That's so good.
But yeah, that whole week I was and then at the weekend I was I'm just going to sleep for 2 days. I need to recover.
I probably just trusted that you had the Zoom stuff under control.
I think so.
I like to think I did, to be fair, because in 3 days I had the whole thing done. I just needed to mix, just go over it, make sure it's just perfect, I suppose.
Well, we can say you did a good job.
Well, to be honest, the first week I was I was asking everyone, all our members that I was training on Zoom, how'd you find it? And they all loved it. So I was
that's what you need.
Okay, well, that's perfect.
It's rewarding, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the way you deliver it as well is most important. You can make an average program great if just the way you deliver it. So.
You saying your program's average?
No.
His delivery's great.
Exactly. Is there anything you want to add to your reflections of 2021, or are you happy?
Yeah, I've talked about a lot of ups. I think one down is, and you guys all know this, I was injured. And I was injured
live on
just
TV.
before. Well, no, this was just the actual injury happened just before lockdown, just before Christmas actually. So injured myself training in the gym, and miraculously recovered when we went into lockdown. So I think I was just thankful for my body to allow me to train for 3-4 months whilst we were in lockdown, because I don't know how I would have coped otherwise, honestly, with the snow, the rain, and all that kind of the time of the year, I suppose. So yeah, so I thought right, I'm going to rebuild myself, training at home, I surely won't injure myself again, and it happened again. I was doing a Saturday circuit on Zoom, live on Facebook. Warm up done, felt good, right, let's go.
It wasn't live, it was recorded for an on-demand workout. That one.
No,
this was
the other one.
This was strike two.
Yeah.
Strike two.
Strike two, yeah.
Forgive
strike two.
Of the same injury.
Same injury, same place. And I finished the class, just need to say that. On one leg, but it's okay. And
I'm going to have to go back and find that. That'll be on Facebook somewhere.
It will be, yeah. You can see me go, and just finishing it. And then, so again, I said to myself, right, It was 2 weeks before we actually reopened, so I think you've got 2 weeks. Just chill out, work on a bit of rehab, make sure that when you go back into the gym, you're not limping, so you can actually demonstrate the exercise when you need to, and just do your normal, normal job. And nothing worse in doing coaching when you've got an injury and you can't move, and you're trying to demonstrate
and you're
something.
just sort of smiling through it because nobody knows.
Yeah, gritting your teeth and everything. And then so that was fine up until we did a on-demand live workout. Well, we were recording for the on-demand stuff. I don't know how I managed to get through your class.
The worst one.
You gave me all the hardest variations, and in my head, every time I went through the exercise, I was like, right, my groin's feeling good. Like it's okay. And then we finished it. I was like, okay, no aches and pains. And then I was leading the second video, did the warm up. What a great start, by the way, it was.
Yeah,
I was nervous as I always am in front of the camera, and then had a good laugh with Lindsay and Fabio, and then one lunge, and then pam, just felt it go again. And
on video,
strike 3.
Well said. To any members listening to this, if you hear this message, post in the members Facebook group if you would like to see that outtake of Matt. We can laugh now because it's past the member. It's quite amusing. So if you want to see it, post in the Facebook group, and we'll see what we can do. And
strike 3, I was out.
So a lot of ups in the year, but injury was always sort of niggling you through it.
The down for me was not mental, it was physical.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because I've learned a lot about just listening to the body, to your body, and I think it's so important. Like you can get, especially over lockdown, I think it was hard. It was easy to sort of like, right, well, I'm only doing bands and body weight, so you can train probably 3 times the amount you would normally train. But in the end, it took its toll on the body, and then I was like injured for 2-3 months. I was still doing some stuff, but then the strike 3 made me realize like, right, you actually need to just chill out. And then just because it's not just for my training, it's for what I do as a living, it's for my job. Like I can walk into the gym and be limping all the time and be sore, broken, because it's not fun for me, but also it's not good it's not fun for the members either, watching you like.
So on reflection, the injuries have shown you and kind of forced you into understanding how important rest is.
Yeah, 100%.
And listening to the body.
Yeah, and I think just changing my whole mindset around training in general.
Nice. Good.
And on there before I start rambling.
Start.
No, I like it. I think that's the key is mind your experiences, take some gold, take something you can learn from. So it's good.
Mike, do you want to take us into reflections of 2021, personally and professionally? I
do. I hope also that there might be some lessons that other people can learn from, or at least maybe that they'll find interesting from the experience. If you indulge me, I think I'm going to find it hard to uncouple 2020 and 2021. So, and I'll try and rattle through a little bit. So.
How deep are we going here? We're getting raw.
This would be a borderline therapy session.
Yeah,
I think,
I'm excited for this.
All right,
grab a cup of tea.
I think I'll start when sort of COVID first. It was becoming apparent that lockdown's possible, likely is maybe a better word, and I'll go back to that period where I don't know if you guys remember, we had a team meeting. And I was quite excited, and I was like, do you know what? This is an opportunity for us. This pandemic is an opportunity to demonstrate how good we are, because we're going to do things properly and we're going to serve our way out of it. I kind of like took the view of not worrying too much about the commercial side. If we serve right, the business will survive through serving. And I remember one of the first big things we invested more than £2,000 in buying resistant bands and stuff for these home survival kits that we set out to the members. And I remember with a quivery finger, deciding is this the most idiotic thing I'm about to do, or is this a really smart thing to do? Ultimately, it felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was going to be our compass, is if we serve and do what we feel from a values point of view is right, then we can trust that we're going to be okay. And that was that was essentially the approach. So we did that. We had that frantic week before lockdown, praying that we could get these survival kits together and out to the members
through
before.
Letterboxes.
Yeah, there's a few last days, before things shut down, and to be honest, in some perverse way, those first couple of months I really liked, because it was like, okay, here's a problem to solve. Here's how we can be better than everyone else, and it was all exciting, and it was like, God, I was like Googling different types of hand sanitizer, and before March was even finished, and thinking what we're going to do, and I was hyper, and I had the luxury of being able to come down here and train. So I was like, man, I'm going to train like a monster, like most days.
It was go.
It was go. And like I said, it was an exciting time in many ways, and then I just kind of like hit a bit of a brick wall. Had a bit of a breakdown, like my energy deserted me. I was getting tired going for walks. Then as the months passed on, like the frustrations began to emerge, and there was a real sense of injustice. Like if you remember, in Scotland, the pubs were open 6 weeks before the gyms. There was a time when we were allowed to train outdoors, but each coach could see 4 people once in a day. Yet if you worked in a pub, you could serve unlimited number. If you worked as a hairdresser, you could serve a limited number. Even outdoors, we could have been 10 meters apart from someone, and by the rules, you could do that once. And so there was a real like injustice. And at the same time, I was in this perpetual state of readiness, because we painted the gym, and then I came in and cleaned the gym, and then we got the ventilation done, and then we got planning permission through for the air conditioning, and then we decided actually we're going to reconfigure the gym, and there was, I think I deep cleaned the gym like 5 times over that period, because we kept having workmen and things like that, once they were allowed. And as it was frustrating for like you guys, Matt, I was really wanting to play by the rules. So if you guys were furloughed, the rules were that you could not work, and that was a difficult thing for everyone. We had our team meetings, we tried to stay in touch, but it was a mad period thinking about it, and going Tuesday to Tuesday or every 3 weeks waiting for the government update, and feeling like this is going to be the one, and then we get pushed back. And then ultimately they ended up taking it forward by a couple of weeks, and that was a bit of a panic mode. By then I'd learned I needed to take a week off, and then we're like, actually you can open a couple of weeks earlier than we said. And I was like, oh, crap, how can I not be ready? It's been 5.5 months, how can I not be ready? But then there was like panic mode again. It was quite fitting, because the day we opened was August 31st, which was 5 years to the day from when we first opened. So there was something quite nice about that. And that period, I felt like we had a bit of resurgence. We had such a strong quarter commercially.
Yeah.
We were still
of 2020.
Yeah,
when we first back open.
Yeah, the last few months of the year, partly because we weren't losing very many members. The people who'd stayed throughout the summer, most, now that the gym's open, they weren't going to then leave. Commercially, there was still a lot of pressure. We had to have a strong quarter, because we're still, well, even today we've got less members than what we had before the pandemic. So there was all the
rules and the number in the gym, and
and spraying every single touch point in the gym every hour of the day, and things like that. And God, even I remember over the summer, doing research on what's the best sanitizing fogging device in the gym. And, it's like some of the crazy stuff.
It was non-stop. Even when we were in lockdown, when we were out of lockdown, for you, it felt just on for months. No real rest.
I think, again, the lessons, if we had known, and I appreciate we couldn't have, but if we'd known it's going to be 5.5 months, then you plan your time a bit more intelligently. But it's just this 3 weeks at a time, on and on. I think that was a difficulty. The other thing, big lesson is, like, I've often thought over the years, like, I wish I could just make myself the perfect schedule for my day. I might go for a walk at this hour, train at this hour, work at this hour. And I was able to do that. But I felt like every, say, 3 weeks of that, then I'd be like, actually, I need to change the schedule because it's not working here. And one big lesson for me is there is no perfect schedule. Like, that's what I found. You might have something that fits for a while, or at least in my experience, but then I had to tweak it and adapt and whatever. Then obviously we had the next lockdown. And the big thing for me was, again, it was one of these these sort of like gamble situations of, right, we now are getting the financial support. We get an element of financial support, and as we decided during COVID, we weren't going to try and sell any new memberships because anyone new coming in is not going to get the real AKR experience. So the main plan was like to serve the people we have and be able to open the doors on the other side. So when we got to January, it was like, okay, I'm going to use this support to discount the membership. And it was like, I had to do all these weird like number predictions to say, okay, how much can we offer a discount by? Because some people would leave regardless because they don't want to, they don't want to do the online stuff. So they're going to leave no matter how much a discount would buy. And other people will stay no matter what the discount is. So it's like, how much can we afford to give a discount? And it was just, I remember just being like a real mad time, like try to predict behavior and finances and support and that. And again, that rumbled on, and yeah, we had a good time because we started the podcast, we improved the social media, all the stuff you said, Linz, revamped the customer journey. There was a lot of work.
So much work
at that time.
It kept us all focused though on good stuff. I felt like the second lockdown, especially for me, it was all positive. We were like really focused on making the business amazing, but we couldn't really do that in the first lockdown. Yeah,
it's, again, I always try and see the opportunities and like, okay, here's how can we leverage this? How can we use this time to make things better for when we open? And obviously we opened, and I don't know, there was just something, I remember saying to a few guys, like, how can it be when I have few responsibilities in my day, like in terms of meetings, places I need to go, things like that, life still felt hard. It was like this unspoken thing that it just felt hard. Whereas it wouldn't make sense to me that when the gym's open and now there's a lot more, like there's things going on, that life is going to somehow be easier. But I think the difference is being able to move forward, which we couldn't do until the gym was open. Then we could bring new people in. But ultimately, like, one of the big lessons is I feel I repeated the mistakes of 2020 in 2021 somehow. And I think it's because, again, I think at some level I assumed that once the gym opened, the year was going to be normal again. But still, we couldn't take, it was difficult to go, like I didn't go overseas and take a break. And for me over the years, unless I've left the country, it's been very difficult for me to kind of switch off. And because I hadn't done that, and again, before you know, it's like months have passed and you're like, oh, I'm burnt out again, I haven't taken the break again. So that was like and I was really frustrated because I was like, I should have learned from this last year. But I think there's a nature of, because the pandemic, we were all like, we couldn't see that far ahead. We didn't really know where the road was going. So I think this year we'd come into it thinking that normal wasn't that far away.
Yeah.
But as it did last year, it sort of dragged on. And I think that was an interesting thing. So I guess trying to take some lessons, it was learning, like, again, about it's difficult to have that perfect schedule. I think definitely for me, trying to become better at delegating and, you know, giving the team more responsibilities and things like that, freeing myself up so I can work on things that I'm better equipped to work on. And definitely sort of managing my health and energy. Normally in a calendar year, I'll just plug in my holidays at the start of the year, and I'll take a weekend out of the country or something like that, which might be easier to do again next year. But it's learning that's a must
for you,
for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, also I had to navigate a few injuries with back pain and things like that, which we might get to in a future one. But stress does have an impact on that. Lifestyle has an impact on that, and things like that. So really interesting. I guess a couple of big ones. Reflecting on my life, realizing, like, I think, like, the journey that I've taken personally in starting this business has, you know, I'm trying to think the best way to put it, but yet you have to, it hardens you a little bit. And maybe you have to develop thicker skin a little bit and stuff like that. And I felt like I'd got away, or maybe you're just so busy and trying to get stuff done. I'd gotten away from some important things that for my happiness. And one of the key things that I'd really recommend to anybody listening that I've picked back up in the last month or so, well, it'll be 2 months by the time you listen to this, is just taking 5 minutes at the end of the day to write down the stuff you're grateful for. And it doesn't even need to be like grateful for. I'm literally just writing down like what I did that day, but I'm grateful that I got to do this, and I'm grateful that I got to have a catch up with Matt today, or we did this, or I got to do this or that. And by the time I've written down the stuff, I'm grateful that I got to do my workout today. I'm grateful that I got to go for a walk and see the sun coming up.
Did you feel like you were losing that part of you? Because you used to do it before. Like I remember Sports Village days, that was something that you did, and you recommended people to do it. So if I'm hearing you, starting the business and growing that thicker skin and seeing everything maybe through like, forgive me that I'm wrong, like a negative, angry lens sometimes, frustration, you forget to look at how grateful actually you could be for things in your life.
I think the way I put it is like, you're in survival mode. Do you know what I mean? And it's like getting stuff done, fighting, and there's another problem, there's a fire comes up that you need to firefight that, and it just becomes, and the stress builds, and it's easy to get in that, stressed out, perpetually stressed out, pissed off, solving problems, trying to get your head above water sort of thing. And just returning to this gratitude practice, I write a few things down, like, you know what, it's been a decent day. Today's been a good day. And then you can, the more you do it, you're like, and you know what, I'm grateful for a warm bed to sleep in tonight. And I'm grateful for, and you start finding more and more things. So that was one thing. And another big thing, again, just in the last month or two, is trying to find things in my life outside of work that I can do. Because when I couldn't leave the country to go for a city break or something, and I'm trying to take time off work, it's like, okay, I can train, but that's not really a hobby for me. So what am I going to do? Like, I don't really have much else. So trying to find things, even recently, try to get back into learning some Spanish and things like that. Just something different.
Take your mind away from work.
Yeah, and so appreciating the journey, and trying to have more balance in my life and things like that. I think those are the main ones.
Great. Well, thank you both for sharing your reflections. So parking that there, 2021, we're almost at the end of it now. Going forward into 2022, question here would be, how do you goal set? Do you like New Year's resolutions? What does the next month or so look like to you guys?
I go first?
Yeah, because I've just
Yes. Do you set goals, Matt? And if so,
what's your process?
Yeah.
I've never actually set goals, so to say, because I'll go back to in the courses I've done with the IFBA. There was always a bit where at the start is like goal setting. So where do you want to be in 1 year? Where do you want to be in 5? When do you want to be in 10? I can do the 1 year. I can't do 5 and I can't do 10 because I just don't know what's going to happen in that time. So I might say something and then, it's like there's something in the way there, so I need to like go over it.
Do you know what? Can I just jump in? Because like I was speaking with a mentor, and I'm the same. I struggle with like the 10-year goal. And this person was saying that every year their 10-year goal changes. And I thought that's okay. It's just giving you permission. It doesn't, it's not set in stone. It's like, give yourself permission to be like, right, hypothetically, where might I want to be down the line? And so therefore, what should I be working on this year? And so I'm thinking when I do this year, spend a bit of time, I won't need to put the same pressure on myself to think, this is the 10-year goal. Because maybe a year from now,
it's okay,
it's changed. Yeah. So kind of.
No, it's okay. That's fine. I think, I suppose my resolution, I'll try and be a bit more like, I'll try and actually sit down and set maybe just one goal to focus on rather than like going into 3 or 4 per like 1, 5 and 10
Why do you feel like you need to do that?
Just because I've never done it.
Okay.
Never done it. And going back to the courses, I actually wrote down a few things just because of the, like, I'll do the exercise. I'll try. And this was obviously last year. I wrote that in a year's time I'd like to lead on the program, so I'm already there technically. So tick. And no, I'm just gonna try and actually just properly sit down, because I always feel like I'm sitting down, I'm like, and then my mind goes somewhere else. I'm like, I'm not in the moment. So I think it'd be a good exercise for me to try and do that. I'm not saying I'll find something in 10 years time or 5 years or whatever it is, but I'll try and
go there.
See where I get. And in terms of resolutions, apart from the one I've had all my life, is trying not to bite my nails as much.
Classic.
And it's not happening. 30 years on, still biting the nails. I'll try and, again, suppose it's kind of same in alignment as goal setting. I'll try and be a bit more reflective. Again, it's not something I'm used to doing that much. But since I started working at AKR, like, we do a lot of reflections as a team on a monthly basis. So that's kind of got me into the habit of just getting my mind to think a bit more about what's happened, what's going on, and what you can look forward to. So going into today, I was thinking, actually, in terms of like talking to goals for 2022, I've got a physical and a personal and professional one.
Oh. So
professional for me would be to obviously keep working on the programming, just get better at that. And I've always said it since I started working here, to be fair, just keep working on my coaching, just trying to be the best I can be. And physical, no injuries, trying to stay healthy for 12 months. Let's try that.
Now that you take recovery days and listen to your body.
Now that I actually do the stuff. So let's see how that goes. And personally, for me, 2022 is a massive year, because I get married in August 2022. So yeah, massive year, and just looking forward to that.
Nice.
So
good.
Yeah.
Good. Nice, solid structure of things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and work on.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
How about you, Linz?
I was just gonna say, I think for me, again, not one for looking at the present. The present, very much looking at the present, but not the future. And when it comes to goal setting and resolutions, I tend to sway away from them. Not because I don't think I can achieve it, but I just prefer to work on myself day to day rather than be like, I am going to achieve X, Y, and Z at this point. In saying that, in the past, I've done events like 10Ks, half marathons, Tough Mudders, and I have trained for them better than I did for Clash of the Clans. So there was a process behind that, and I think if I have my mind set on something that's important to me, then I will go out and grab it and put all my effort into it. And that just goes from breaking it down to when it is, okay, what do I need to do by this point and that point, and being a bit more structured around it. But like I say, if I don't have anything, I won't force myself to find something to do. And I think that's where the resolution thing comes in. Oh, I'm going to do this, and I'll stop drinking for a month, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm okay with that. It's maybe dreams of people, but 9 times out of 10, people don't achieve it, and then you feel like you've been kicked back. So for me, goal setting and resolutions, and I'm very much like, go for it. If you've got a plan to do it, don't just say you're going to do it and halfway through give up. Like, go for it. But yeah,
I think some of those resolutions, there's not enough depth.
Yes.
Like what you're saying is like, it's surface stuff. It's like not something someone's really thought about. They thought, do you know what, it's New Year, so I'll do this.
Yeah. They've just picked it out of the sky.
And I think the depth is the more important. Like, to put it another way, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily like this, but if you don't know, pick arbitrary number of years down the line, it could be 1, 3, 5, 10, whatever. But if you don't know at least the direction where you want to go, then how do you know, like, what to spend your time on today? How do you know what to say yes or no to? How do you decide where to put your time and energy and things like that? So if you know, for instance, like, I want to learn a new language, well then today you're doing a lesson. Do you know? So it's chunking down. So I'm very similar in that I actually more focus now on like the smaller parts. Yeah. Like, one way of putting it is, if in 5 years from now I want to be an expert in my field, whatever the field is. Okay, so what does that look like? Okay, so what's my current level and skill set? Okay, so where are the gaps? Where do I need to spend my time in order to plug that gap, to be an expert in my field.
Yeah.
Okay, then today, what skills do I need to develop? So what books do I need to read, or what habits or skills do I need to practice? So do I need to, let's say it's music, do I need to spend 15 minutes 3 times a week playing the guitar? If I want to, so like to me on the Spanish, I've said for years and years, it'd be really cool to be multilingual or bilingual. Yeah, but the years are passing and you do nothing, Mike. So,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you're not. Am I suddenly going to get to the point in my life where I'm like, I've got some time freedom and financial stability that now I can dedicate a few hours a week to learning Spanish? It's not going to happen like that. So if I want to learn it, I've got to chunk it down and be like, let's plug it into my life.
And so that's what I was saying. If you've got something that you want to get, then you need to then set realistic goals in order to get there. And like that was me sort of personally, but professionally, I know that with the role that I'm in, I need to get better at X, Y, and Z. So I will go on the assessor course. And also there's been so much chat that I've been having with our members on sort of women's health at a certain age. And so that's been in my head, starting to think, okay, so maybe I need to do a course on the menopause and help the majority of the members that we serve. So there's little bits like that professionally that I would be excited to start to be able to help more people. And I think when looking inward at myself for goal setting, it's usually in that direction. It's never really, okay, by this time next year I want to run a marathon, like my physical, or this time next year I want to be able to do a muscle up. It always seems to direct down the professional side than the personal for me.
And that's okay. I think that's okay. Like, you can't grow professionally without growing personally anyway, I think. But I just think, like, if someone has nothing on there, then like, why bother getting out of bed in the morning? Like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? And again, that's not to be a criticism if you don't know what you do, but like something, your thing might be like, I'm going to work today because I want to one day pay off my mortgage or have a mortgage or whatever it be. I think it's important. I think people get tied up in goal setting because they feel like they need to have all the answers. But it's a direction, it's a compass to pull you in a direction, to get you moving in certain behaviors. But maybe like this time next year, you're like, do you know what? That wasn't for me. Yeah. And the other little thing with is at the turn of the year, it's so easy to get tied in the new year, new me, but you don't think about the cost of these things. So I how cool would it be to be able to speak Spanish? Right, that's what I want, but do I also want to do a lesson every week or multiple days a week, or so you it's the idea of the thing that you want. I want to be in great shape. Great. Do you want to go to the gym several times a week and not go out for tea, eat well and whatever? So I think that's other ways thinking of, like, yes, the outcome, but also whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, you've got to chunk it down into the behavior. And is the behavior palatable to you? Yeah. And are you going to, like we spoke on a couple of weeks back, plug it in your calendar? So good. Happy to move on? Yeah, we'll just finish up with what the plan at AKR. Yeah, tell us, Mike, what's over the next year happening here at AKR? Yeah, I guess the sort of main AKR goal, like for us, as I touched on, we still need to recover commercially and get our member numbers back to what they were before COVID. One of the main things, like what was a key part of AKR before COVID, was like our community events and things like that. We did stand-up paddleboarding and dog walks and breakout games, hill climbs, ice skating, barbecues. So we really want to, depending on the landscape in the world, like be able to bring some of that back and bring back some of that real sort of community feel. And we've always been about energizing life. Not about let's all become health freaks and fitness freaks. Ultimately, we're getting our workouts in so that we can have a better life, and so the events out with the gym tie into that. The other thing I want to mention, like at the time of recording, things aren't in place yet, so I don't want to say too much. Hopefully by the time this gets released, the news will be out. But what we're wanting to do is partner with a local charity and just give back to the community a lot more. So that's something I'm quite excited by. Hopefully things come together, and hopefully anyone listening will already know about it by the time this airs. But that's something working heavily on just now. So
yeah, I'm very much looking forward to having the social side of AKR back again. It feels like it's been very just like regimented training, not really anything outside because we've not been allowed. The AKR games, like the whole passion behind it all and people getting involved and the community spirit, like that's definitely been missing, and I'm really looking forward to having that back. And of course, working with the local charity is going to be amazing for all parties.
Yeah. The way I like to say, like, health and fitness isn't life. It's a tool for energizing your life. And so the events calendar helps us energize life outside of the gym, and the charity stuff helps us energize the lives of the people who are less fortunate than we are. So
well said, Mike.
Thank you.
Okie doke, we'll wrap this up. So thank you for listening. From all of us at AKR, have a fabulous Hogmanay. If you want to learn more, please head over to akrfitness.com, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.